How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Great.
Doing good.
Good. You know who's probably feeling the effects of what I think is going to be day 2 of his hangover? Actually, this is day 1 of his hangover. The man who had the most fun following the Chiefs Super Bowl. Have you seen the videos of Jason Kelce?
The post-game party?
Yes.
Yeah.
All of them.
Luchador mask, dance, like raving?
Well, there've been a couple. There's one where it's Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. They're dancing to our song, a Taylor Swift song, which has got to be weird.
Kind of weird.
I mean, as a musician, wouldn't that be weird to have like it's your song that's playing, and obviously people are going to want like you to sing it around them, right? And so she was like singing to Travis, and they were dancing and kissing and all that stuff, and then it pans over, and you have the Marshmallow guy. What's his name? Is it Marshmallow?
The
DJ Marshmallow is there with his big marshmallow head, and then you just see this big lumbering dude in his overall Kansas City Chiefs overalls in a luchador mask, standing right next to the Marshmallow guy, and he's just kind of like swaying back and forth. That was video number 1 I saw. The second one was somebody was taking video of Travis and Taylor leaving the party.
And him putting a jacket on Taylor Swift, and Jason Kelce's in the background, completely hammered, almost going face first into a tree.
Falling into a planter box. Like he is falling into a planter's box like...
Absolutely canned.
Hammered. And this is just telling me that nobody has more fun than Jason Kelce right now.
To be fair, he was very blunt in his description of how he and his wife first met, which was at a date. They went to a bar. He got absolutely belligerently hammered and had to be carried home by one of the Eagles' tight ends. Fireman carried
on the night that he met her on Tinder. He said, "Come meet us at the bar," and he ended up blacking out and passing out at the bar.
And had to be carried home by a tight end.
My goodness.
So she knew what she was getting into right away.
That man, there's nobody else on that Chiefs team that was as sideways as Jason Kelce was. God bless him. God bless. I guess he did have like an 8-hour head start, because I've heard in Will's update, longest Super Bowl ever. Will Ortner's here, everybody.
That's right.
Time-wise, that was the longest one.
That's what the ESPN report that I took it from said.
It went to overtime, obviously.
And it went all the way through overtime.
Did anybody else notice how long halftime was?
The Usher performance was 12 minutes and 43 seconds.
But the halftime itself, I saw Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk. It was supposed to be 30 minutes.
How long did it go?
They ran the clock for a minute in the stadium and then stopped it at 29. It was stuck on 29 for like 6 minutes. And then they started rolling the clock again. So I think it was like a 35-minute halftime that they had.
Good God.
That's a really long time.
That's a long time.
I didn't really notice it, but at one point I was like, because they usually do like the go to break, they do the quick hit with the desk, and it's really quick.
It's real quick, and then throw.
Boom, they're right back on the field. They were on there for so long, and that's where you got your Phil Simms bitching.
Yes, and I think that was where, like, I think they had to fill something there, because I seriously wonder if the DJ Tiesto thing screwed up the beginning of that. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. Him not being there made them change stuff, and they weren't ready because they had to make a literal day before the show changes. And so they needed an additional couple minutes to...
He backed out on Thursday evening due to a family emergency. Yeah. So then on Friday, it was like, apparently Usher was just reaching out to like Bieber. He was reaching probably out to Taylor Swift, like, hey, she's like, no. No. He was reaching out to everybody to see if they could kind of fill that role. And I don't know. I don't know what ended up happening.
But I would imagine that's probably why it extended the way that it did.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Did you see this quote from Kelce with Shaq before the
Jason?
game? Yeah, with talking about how Travis had to move out of his house because of the Taylor Swift fame. Yeah, the quote from him, Travis had to completely move out of his house. People were just staying by his house. And the first day he moved to a new house, somebody came and knocked on the window.
On the very first day?
Yes. So they probably, even if they ran like a fake car out, they probably had somebody sitting out the back and watched him go a different way, which is what these paparazzi, like the high-end paparazzi, it's what they do.
Those people, can we do away with paparazzi? Like, that should be against the law.
You would think that it would fall under.
Technically journalism.
I know it's freedom of the press.
And the irony is that most of the time when there's big breaking news, the best reporting group is TMZ.
TMZ.
So, do you know what's funny is the people that really like to screw the paparazzi? God, I can't remember her name. She's super famous, but she wears the exact same thing every time she leaves the house publicly, so paparazzi can't sell the pictures as new. Same outfit every time. So they can't go because
is that like Sia?
Huh?
Is that Sia? She's like an artist. She's
I
the
know,
one
I know
who would
she is, but no,
cover her face.
It's not. No. This person wears the same thing. Wears like the literals, like buys multiples of the same exact thing, so that they can't go sell it to the tabloids.
She's getting the white Hanes T-shirt.
Yeah, not quite. Yes, like a white T-shirt, green pants, baseball hat, like dad hat.
See, and that's the thing about paparazzi that I don't understand is why they can't let people just live their normal lives. Like they're just there to take their pictures, like leaving the house. Like who cares? Who cares?
Somebody does. Somewhere.
Do people care that much? No.
You'd be surprised. Well,
With Swifties.
no. I would say, yeah, they do. Bayhive, Swifties, yeah, they do.
God, that is a weird thing.
Imagine never being able to leave your house without being fully done up.
Do I just not care about anything enough?
No, that's exactly it.
I mean,
that's exactly it.
Well, you're normal.
okay, so this is for a very small number of people that are very passionate that will just click on whatever. Mm-hmm. This is what you need to do.
Stalkers.
You need to friend this. This is a business opportunity for you.
I'm not befriending the Swifties.
No, you should. No, you should
No.
befriend Travis Kelce and be his body double.
I'm all for that.
You can be the guy that slips out the front door, and as he's going out the back, you are the one taking all the heat from the paparazzi.
I'm all for that. Me and fake Taylor Swift. We'll get like trailer Swift, and then we'll hang out. We'll have body doubles. It'll be perfect.
And they'll be like, that guy doesn't look like Travis Kelce at all.
That's a lie. If it's at night, I'll get away with it perfectly. Me and Jonas Valanciunas.
Yeah, if it's night and the paparazzi and the people looking at the photos are drunk, then
She
Will
was
Ortner looks like
sober.
Travis Kelce.
They were sober. It's happening
feel like-
more and more, man. Get on board.
Yeah.
Jump on the train. Or get run over on the tracks.
What is the sweet spot of fame then? Like, because Jim Carrey said this. He's like, I think everybody should be famous so they can all find out it's not what it's cracked up to be.
It's not fun.
Which, yeah, people say that about like people that win the lottery. Like you win a lot of money in the lottery. All of a sudden you got relatives coming out of the woodwork. People are coming to your home to get injured on your property so they could sue you, even though it's like you're trespassing.
Yeah.
Like they'll come in to be like, got tripped on your sidewalk. Wasn't right. I'm going to sue you for $20 million, Stuff like that. You hear like those horror stories of people that win the lottery. But what's a sweet spot of fame where you can be obscure enough to live your life, but
It's like a behind the scenes thing. It's like a writer.
I think that's what people are doing now, though, is a lot of these celebrities are moving like to Salt Lake City, and they're moving to Denver, or they're moving
It's a
far
good thing
away.
to be here. Like,
yeah, in Portland.
if- like,
Danny Glover, everybody.
Honestly, like even Trailblazers, talking to players. Number one, I ran into Tamani at the mall before Christmas. Nobody recognized him.
A lot of 6'8" jacked dudes
Yeah.
walking around Washington Square.
I ran into him. He's like, "Hey, what's going on?" We talked about Christmas presents. Nobody else came up to us. Nothing.
He is jacked out of his gourd.
He is absolutely ripped. But again, also 6'8", not a white guy. Stands out.
Stands out.
But I think Portland does a really good job of leaving those guys alone for the most part. Like we kind of understand. Like even at the peak of fame for Dame could go places and be left alone.
That it is really unique to kind of this area where there's people that will, but you don't get bombarded like you do in
nobody.
other places.
Like if you're in LA and you do that, they're just going to swarm to you. And there's places that they swarm. Like if you go to like the Nines when a team comes into town.
Absolutely.
Like if you go down there when the Lakers come into town or the Warriors come into town or something along those lines, there will be a conglomeration of people who like. But that's also like the accepted place to do that. nowhere else really in the city does that happen. Like you don't, whether you go to a nice restaurant or something like that, like Nostrana is a place that most players from visiting teams will go to dinner because it's a nice Italian spot, but it's tiny. And I was in there one night. Joel Embiid, JJ Redick, Jimmy Butler all came in.
How could you tell it was Joel?
I don't know, 7-foot guy that came in. I think that was the giveaway. I think that was like JJ Redick, though. That's a sweet spot of like just being like a guy that could blend in.
Well, JJ came in first, and I was like, oh, JJ. And that was it. Then Joel came in. I was like, Joel. That you can't kind of hide.
Hey, that guy had to duck walking through the door.
Yeah. Then Jimmy came in wearing a, like the robes that kings wear.
Hell yeah.
But
that's what I'd do.
It was like a fur, like not like a robe that you wrap yourself in, but like the cape kind of a deal. You know what I'm talking about? Like the big fur cape that goes around behind you.
Did he realize he was in Portland, Oregon?
Oh yeah. Yeah. He had that.
Like
on.
that's a calculated decision. I'm going to travel with this.
Yeah, but he had
that's
like
a bag in itself.
Then he had like a Louis Vuitton branded boxing robe on underneath it, and with like matching shorts.
He went cape and robe.
Oh yeah,
that guy Googled Portland and found Keep Portland Weird and was like, I got the fit for this.
When he walked in, though,
he's like, I got this nailed.
Jimmy said, or JJ said something I can't repeat on radio, and I audibly laughed. And he kind of looked over at me, and I was like, all right, whatever, kind of a deal, because it was so ridiculous. And then Jimmy Butler proceeded to take and grab the sommelier, the one guy, and keep him at his table the entire night. And he had like basically every bottle of wine the place had on the table.
How did he play the next day?
I don't remember.
Ooh. Right above Pete Davidson, right below Bradley Cooper. That's my sweet spot of fame. That came coming in on the Vancouver.
Oh no, that's way too famous.
Pete Davidson, way too famous. I mean, anytime you're stooping a Kardashian,
yeah,
like, nah.
Well, he's not anymore.
Well, I know, but then you reach a level of fame. Like that's like Travis Kelce's life will never be the same because he's dating Taylor Swift. So from here moving forward,
smart of you not to assume stooping.
He is. Oh, I'm assuming that.
Maybe they're waiting.
Maybe. But when you go down that road of fame and you're dating somebody that famous and that has that following, that is that passionate, psycho, crazy, whatever you want to call it, at that point, your life is never going to be the same again. Because if you break up with them, no matter where you go, those people were going to hate you forever. Dead to them. Dead.
Yeah.
Dead. And
what about Paul Rudd?
I would love that. Paul Rudd is that's a great one. Paul Rudd is
he's more down homey famous.
I think down homey famous is what you want to be.
Sudeikis.
Yeah, Jason Sudeikis. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you're now we're all just naming people that look alike and are from Kansas City.
Yes. Well, that's what I was going for.
Ed Helms.
Midwest famous. Yes.
Ed Helms. There you go. Because people are like, hey, you're the guy from Ted Lasso. And you're like, nah, no. Hangover. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Close enough. Office. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that is your...
Yeah, Bradley Cooper, Pete Davidson. That's way too famous.
That's way too famous.
Way too pretty, too. Not Pete Davidson.
Well... I think the other sex would argue otherwise.
I don't think they're with him because he's pretty.
He's got a huge personality.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
He does.
Enormous.
Comedian. Very funny man. Mm-hmm. Very funny man.
Multiple specials.
Hey, speaking of 24 hours from now, right now, right meow, Bill Burr will join us. Speaking of a funny man, that's a good sweet spot of fame, too.
Will Horner's surprised by this news.
Bill Burr will join us tomorrow.
I might just show up tomorrow.
At 12:15 to hear a phone call.
He's not in studio.
Yeah, he'll be on the phone. Man, he'll be on the phone with us.
But he will be here next week, not in studio in Portland.
That is correct.
He is playing Moda on the 22nd.
Yeah. And then, but you have to, down homey famous is one, but then... I think you have to nip it in the bud early. Where
we might have to ask Bill about that. What's the best level of fame?
Yeah,
because
he's got a pretty good one.
He's global fame though.
You have to nip it in the bud early. That's not the life you want to. You don't want to live that paparazzi life.
Yeah,
because you just got to be like, this isn't for me. I'm not going to give you anything. You know, I'm just going to keep my head down and go. But if you lean too far into that, then they're going to be like, I'm going to get a reaction out of this person. We're going to absolutely crush you.
The Tom Hanks, stay the bleep away from my wife.
Yeah.
But in all fairness, if you've seen the video, Tom Hanks was right.
He was.
He was.
They almost hit her with the car, right?
Which was really funny because all the other paparazzi who had covered Tom Hanks were looking at that single guy like, dude, what are you doing? That's
Dude.
Tom Hanks. His wife.
America's dad. What are you doing? I think the perfect level of fame has to do with your established social expectations. Bill Murray and Dave Grohl are out partying, crashing events all the time, but that's what they do, so it's not a thing. However, your A-listers with PR folk never allow clients to build that exposure. That's a great text on the Vancouver Ford text line, because Bill Murray he set this out at the onset of his career. You know, he has a phone number, like an 800 number. Like he doesn't give people like his cell phone number. For a long time, he didn't have a cell phone. So if you want to like contact him to get him on a movie or do a cameo on something, like he has like this 800 number where you leave like a message for Bill Murray.
Doesn't have an agent that handles that stuff?
Apparently not. But that's how he got he was in that Garfield movie that sucked.
Oh.
He was Garfield. Do you
One or
remember that?
two.
He was he thought they were the Coen brothers who did it, not those Coen brothers, not the ones that did like Big Fish and all that. It was a different set of Coen brothers, different spelling even, I believe. And he was like,
No H.
Well, I'm committed to this, so here we are.
Surprise!
Shut up, not a good one. And I think he regrets that to this day, doing that Garfield movie.
Those movies were fine
Yeah, all right.
for like kids.
There's a new one coming out.
There's always a new. It's like Garfield, Scooby Doo. They've always got new.
I'll tell you what, I saw that Spider-Man where they brought all three of the Spider-Mans together.
It's a great movie.
Where they went to like different world universes.
No Way Home. Yeah.
No Way Home, that's what it is. That was good.
I thought you were going to say it wasn't. I was like, that
was really
really
good. Because people hated Tobey Maguire. People hated the other guy.
Andrew Garfield.
That's him. Yep, that's the name I'm looking for.
Which I thought they both were good.
And then people really do love the guy
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland, who's dating Zendaya. Who Tom Holland kind of looks like Timothée Chalamet, who's in Dune with Zendaya, which I think is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Kind of
but
has
he's
that
dating
same...
a Kardashian.
Wait, what?
Shyamalan.
Really?
Yeah, he's dating Kylie Jenner.
See? Too far.
He's not going
You don't
after
wanna do that.
Zendaya.
That's too much fame.
You don't want to do
Too
that.
much fame.
Yep. Nope. He stepped in it. He stepped in it.
No, dude, he's pretty. He's been doing stuff for a while.
Chris Pratt.
Well, I know.
Chris Pratt is the new Garfield.
Right?
Yeah. It's coming out in May.
Dude,
Who's
Chris
Mario?
Pratt has done Mario. He wasn't.
He voiced something else.
Was he
dude.
Sonic? He was another big one. He's just doing a lot of voice. Chris Pratt, I love Chris Pratt. I know he gets a lot of flack because he's religious. Why? Let him live his life. I think he's a really good actor. I think he's funny too.
Yes.
People are like, oh yeah, I don't like that guy anymore. Don't let him live his life. Whatever.
Seems like a nice guy. Roots for the Hawks.
Andy Dwyer. He's Andy Dwyer. That's a great character. One of my favorite characters ever.
Says you have network connectivity issues.
Did you know that was a real
Oh, he did the Lego movie.
Lego
That's what it
movie?
was.
He was the Lego guy.
I'm like, there's a famous one in here I'm forgetting.
That network connectivity
Ad lib.
completely ad lib because they have all of the computers in Parks and Rec. They were there, and he clicked on the internet, and it said connectivity issues because they didn't connect it to the internet. So he just read the screen. That was brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. He's one of my favorite. I love him. All right, here we go. Now we just got people commenting on fame, and I'm here for it all. I'm here for it all.
Jordan Spieth's a good one.
Jordan Spieth level of fame.
Professional golfer, like high earning professional golfer, not named Tiger Woods. Phil Mickelson is a good one because nobody knows who you are.
Private jet money.
Yeah, you got
professional
crazy
golfer.
you got crazy money and nobody knows who you are.
And you're really good at golf.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like that's the sweet spot.
You just go and you clean up at. Like if I was a pro golfer, I'd go and I'd screw with people. Like I'd have like an old golf bag. And
Play left-handed.
I'd have like old, it would just look like it's raggedy. I'd have like old club head covers and
Hustling.
just hustle. Just go to like
Just pool sharking.
I would go to like a 9-hole golf course and just tear it up.
Skins.
And
for
just
days.
join in a group of like 3 guys who are just getting trashed wearing jorts and a wife beater out on the course. Like go to that kind of place
and
then
definitely match the occasion.
and then just step on the tee box and
Just bomb
one and be like, wow, it must be my day today, huh?
It's weird. It's been my day all 9 holes.
Be like, all right, guys, good seeing you, and be like, God, we played with this guy.
Just absolute stick.
I don't even know who he is, man. Some people be like, man, you should go pro. Like, yeah, I should.
I thought about it.
Pretty good, though. Pretty good.
See, that's the life.
But like this one, big time soccer guys, crazy money, Europe, limited fame, but still famous.
They're not famous here. Messi. He loves playing for Miami because he says he can go to the grocery store because he looks like everybody else in Miami and nobody cares.
He said it was the first time he could go to the grocery store as an adult.
Because in Europe, he's the most famous person in Europe. Not even close. He is the most famous player, athlete, person, whatever in Europe.
But meanwhile, he's like going to the Publix in Miami and they're like,
Nobody bats an eye.
what's up, dude?
Looks like any other like Cuban dude who emigrated.
Yeah.
Nobody even says a word. It's got to be great.
Yeah. This person just said Spieth would crush Killarney West. That is the exact golf course I was thinking about when I was saying you just roll out there, dudes in jorts, and just be like, hey, here we go.
I had Sandley and Wilson.
I'm just going to roll out here and say, all right, let's go, baby. All right. We got sports show today.
We do. And we also, I think we set a new record for the first segment.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
Historic long.
Time is flat. All right. Hey, which team is more likely next year? The chance at a three-peat or getting over the hump? Next on The Fan. Bowl 58. The Kansas City Chiefs winning in overtime, 25-22. I don't know if anybody watched it or not. If you were one of the 202 million people to watch Super Bowl 58,
Otherwise known as 2/3 of the country.
that is a wild number. Well, what are those other third doing? What's going on with you?
Actively protesting.
What? I don't think there. You think that there's? Do you think there's 100 million people that are protesting? Do you think they went? Oh crap! That was today. I totally missed it. I think that number's probably higher, because that's the thing that you can't calculate is, all right, so these TVs are on, but how many people are at that house? Because I was at a house that had 15 people in it watching the game, but there was one TV watching the game the whole
Only
time.
one.
Only one watching. So you're doing it by households, but it is impossible. I don't even know what the metrics are and how they figure that out.
That would probably, the average number of people I would imagine is in a house watching every game. Total dart 4.8.
That's how many, and they just go by that average of how many people are at any
I
given
bet you,
home?
yeah.
Yeah.
We had more than average.
But the thing is, like, for every group of 15, there's one person at home watching themselves,
Yeah.
or two people. Like this weekend,
The people that can't go around to other people.
or sometimes some people just want to just chill and watch at home. Or if you're a single person living in a new city, you not know anybody, or you're not close to family or friends or whatever it is.
But don't you go to like a bar? You go to a bar?
I don't.
Go to a bar and watch a game? I mean,
I'd go to a bar.
I'd go to a bar if I was by myself.
I'd go to a bar.
I never, that's the thing is the only time I ever did that when I was in the Air Force was when I was in Florida and North Dakota. Both places I went to Buffalo Wild Wings just because it was the only place I could go get Raider games. It was because number one, North Dakota, number two, Florida, not exactly Raider friendly. So trying to find this is early 2000s, so NFL League passes or Sunday ticket isn't a thing. So you had to go to like bars. You got the bar package that could get the satellites to get the games. But other than that, I've never been go to a bar to watch a game guy.
Oh, that's always fun. You can meet new friends. Meet new friends doing it.
I don't like people.
There's your problem. There.
happens.
That'll do it to you. Coming out of this game, though, we have a 49ers franchise that they've gone to 8 conference championship games. They've gone to 3 Super Bowls with 2 different head coaches and 3 different quarterbacks, which is a crazy thing to think about. When you go back to the Ravens-Niners Super Bowl, the Har Bowl, you had 3 different quarterbacks start in 3 Super Bowls in a decade.
Gross.
Isn't that crazy, though?
That's gross.
They are. It's a well-run organization. I mean, they've had their ups and they've had their downs, but overwhelmingly, they have been a very well-run organization.
Oh yeah, but no questions asked.
No questions about that. But they have not been able to get over the hump since the 94-95 season. And then you have this Kansas City team that they're going for the first ever three-peat in Super Bowl history. And it's not just getting to that 3rd Super Bowl. That's the tough part is you have teams that just don't make the playoffs after winning back-to-back Super Bowls.
You can fall off completely. I mean, you take a look at that Rams team that gets it done and then boop.
Yeah, because everybody wants to pillage your roster.
That's the thing about this Chiefs team. You take a look at those free agents. Yes, Chris Jones is huge. Yes, Snead is huge. But you kind of go down the list. There's not a lot of impact guys. You're like, oh my God, they're going to lose this guy and 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 this guy. You look at that 49ers roster and it's like, woo, buddy. But the flip side is that 49ers team over the last couple of years has been pillaged over and over and over again. They've done a better job of restocking that roster than any team in the NFL.
See, all right, let's talk about this then, because I think you and I may be on opposite sides of this based on what you said right there, because we have a poll up at Danny and Dusty. You can go vote on it on Twitter.com. Which team will be back in the Super Bowl next year? Chiefs, Niners, which is more likely to happen. Let's get to that, though, because the turnover, it could be quite significant on both sides of this team, which makes it or both sides of this coin, which makes it a really hard thing to gauge. We'll get to that next. Danny and Dusty on The Fan. 59. The Chiefs or the Niners? Currently, we have 54% of the vote going in Kansas City, 45% going in for 46% going in for the San Francisco 49ers. And this is really interesting as you look moving forward as to, all right, what does the path look like? Will we see the potential of a three-peat with the Kansas City Chiefs, or do we look at it and say the San Francisco 49ers with another chance to get over the hump? They've been unable to do it in their 3 Super Bowl trips in the last decade. But which one is more likely to get back there? And anytime you have Patrick Mahomes, gonna like your chances. But when you look at the way that this team was constructed, the way this team was built, and how they were so successful, a lot of it was on the defensive side of the ball. And we know that. Just look at how well they played in the Super Bowl. And with Kansas City, you have more salary cap space than the 49ers do. If you're looking at cap space moving forward, there's $22 million in cap space for the Chiefs. The 49ers have got about $570,000. And this is with some cap holds that you kind of go into and say, all right, what are we expecting here? And you have a dead cap money on both sides, but isn't a whole heck of a lot. With Kansas City, you have 6 defensive starters that are free agents, unrestricted free agents heading into this season. 6 starters. They include Chris Jones, L'Jarius Sneed, Derek Nandi. You've got Willie Gay Jr., Drew Tranquill, and Mike Dana. And then, oh, by the way, you've got Omenihu, who is out with a
Torn ACL.
Gonna be hoping maybe you get him back by
August?
September, like mid-September probably is where you're looking at with him.
Hopefully, he's starting his ramp up. Is there in the preseason?
On the offensive side of the ball, you have, your starting left tackle, Donovan Smith, Mecole Hardman, who we saw his impact in the Super Bowl, a game-clinching touchdown and a big reception downfield, I think the longest play of the game. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who is not your starting running back. It's Isaiah Pacheco, but a guy who's played big minutes for you. And also Jerick McKinnon, the other backup running back. Those guys are cheap. You're probably not worried about Edwards-Helaire or Jerick McKinnon. But the 6 defensive guys, and L'Jarius Sneed being the best corner in football down the stretch, he's going to have a hefty price tag. Chris Jones, his market value is like $28 to $30 million a year. And you got $22 million of cap space to work with, and you restructured Patrick Mahomes this past offseason, and his cap number's $58 million.
Which you can restructure again and push it more to the back end, and then you're just paying out the wazoo when it really comes due, which is what I imagine they'll do. The number of guys that the Chiefs have to kind of work with here is not as high as the 49ers, but those guys I think are more impactful, particularly the 3 that you mentioned with Gay, Sneed, Jones.
And I think I put Drew Tranquill in there too.
I would put him in there, but he was also
him in there too.
He was also a free agent acquisition that they got, I want to say, on a relatively good deal, if I remember right. I think they paid him, but I don't think they paid him through the nose. Because I remember him leaving the Chargers because he wanted to compete. That was the whole thing about him. So I want to say they didn't give him
4 years, $3 million.
Yeah. 1 year, $3 million deal.
Yeah. So they didn't give him anything.
Yeah.
So now will he get that now that he's won? No, he'll probably go, I would imagine, go chase the money, which is what you should do in the NFL because you have so little time, but you got the ring. But you go and find another guy. Who's that?
Yeah.
There's another guy out there. How many pass rushers? You take a look at the list right now. I don't think he'd do it. I don't think he would do it. But let's say Chris Jones, there's been rumblings about the Texans being really interested in him. Josh Allen is a premier pass rusher from the Jaguars. Is he a guy who takes a 1-year deal and goes and chases a ring? Could you see that happening? Yeah, I could. I could see it happening. You can say that about probably 10, 12 guys across the league at various positions who are free agents this year who will look at the Chiefs and go, I've seen what they've done. So you can say the same thing about the 49ers, to be honest. I've seen what they've done.
And I think the other factor in all this, again, when you have Patrick Mahomes and you have Andy Reid, you're going to have a shot.
And you're going to have guys who are going to know that and understand it, and they're going to willingly attach themselves to it because you saw it for 20 years with the Patriots.
But it is finding ways to pay your big-ticket guys. And your big-ticket guys are guys like Chris Jones.
Yes.
Like L'Jarius Sneed.
Yeah, they can't pay him the $32 million franchise tag, though.
Yeah, I also think the path is a lot harder in the AFC than it is in the NFC. We saw that play out over the course of this year. So just looking at the AFC, you got Josh Allen, Tua, Aaron Rodgers is still alive.
Also, Joe Burrow will be coming back.
Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson. You've got C.J. Stroud now in Houston with the Texans. You've got
Justin Herbert now with Harbaugh
with
coaching.
Jim Harbaugh as his head coach. And oh, by the way, sneaky steal that I don't think is getting enough credit. Jim Harbaugh hired the quarterback's coach away from the Houston Texans. He was Justin Herbert's quarterback's coach 2 years ago when he had his best year and he looked the most comfortable.
And remind me again, Houston Texans, their quarterback looked pretty good this year?
Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud did look good. You also have Trevor Lawrence, who is fighting through injuries all
Coming
season
back,
long, and he will be back this year. Slip to the NFC side, where San Francisco, you've got Chase Young, Javon Kinlaw. Those two guys have been important pieces for you, but neither one of them is nearly as impactful or as important as a Chris Jones is. You've got Tashawn Gibson, who's going to be a free agent. He's a safety, nowhere near as important to what they do as L'Jarius Sneed, and they'll have Talanoa Hufanga coming back.
Yes, and they've got a bunch of depth on the offensive side, like the Ray McLeods of the world.
Well, he's going to be a free agent. Ray and Chris Conley are free agents, low ticket guys. But your right guard, Feliciano, who got hurt in the Super Bowl, that was a big injury.
Yes, it was.
In the game. Other than that, every single big ticket, high price guy, they're already locked up in San Francisco.
And if you look at what San Francisco has done over the last couple of years, take a look at the names on their defense. The guys that have come in, been there for a year and left. Yes, they lost a Buckner in the process. That's going to happen. He went and got paid, and rightfully so, because he was an absolute dude for the Colts. But everybody else, for the most part, seems like they're locked in there. Fred Warner locked in there. Bosa locked in there. Remember, they got Bosa paid purposefully. Hufanga coming back. I mean, you just kind of look now. The Greenlaw one's, that one's going to be interesting. Coming off the Achilles rupture.
Boy, how long that takes him to get back and
whether or not he does.
Right. Man, because you're looking at, if you're lucky, getting him back late November.
Yeah, and that's if everything goes right.
Oh, or start a training camp if Aaron Rodgers is training him, you know?
Darkness retreat.
Turn on the dolphin noises. Let's go.
I don't know what that means.
He listened to dolphins doing it. Helped heal his Achilles.
That's what he chalked it up to.
That's what I read, and I've never been told a lie on the internet, and I refuse to look into it further.
The hard part about Aaron Rodgers is that seems like something he would say and do. I think we've reached that point with Aaron Rodgers now, is that does seem mildly believable. But I will go with no. But Darkness Retreat, maybe. Maybe we see that with Dre Greenlaw to get back on the field. I look at the one thing with both of these teams, though, outside of you have Mahomes and you have Andy Reid in Kansas City, Brett Veach has done an incredible job because they're drafting at the bottom of every round, and they keep finding ways to knock it out of the park.
Speaking of, I saw Brett Coleman, who does a ton of NFL coverage. He compared Troy Franklin to MVS this morning. And as a guy that he could see them replacing him with in the draft.
I could see that as that's a decent comp. I think Troy Franklin is maybe a little bit more polished coming out than MVS was, but that's actually a really good comp. I could see them going down that road.
The same number even.
In a also when you look at in a draft that's really deep at wide receiver.
Good God.
This draft is loaded at
and
wide
maybe
receiver.
This is the way that the Chiefs kind of run their way back if they do lose a little bit on their defense. Well, hey, we'll load up on some offensive skill guys and we'll lean a little bit more on our offense this year.
And that's what these great teams have always done. Is also you look at back end of the first round, it may be perceived as a stretch taking a guard at 31, but if you're San Francisco and you're sitting there going, hey,
we're good everywhere else.
We can get the second or third best guard
Let's go
off the board right now at 31. We'll go ahead. We'll take that.
Or the
And
Chiefs going to get like a McDuffie,
Get a cheaper
early on in the
replacement.
process, and going, let's trust this guy. Or the Seahawks the same way they went and got their offensive tackles. Like you prioritize the guys if you think those are your guys.
There's a lot of tackles in this draft too that can project inside as well. That can play inside or outside. Specifically, the Oregon State kid,
Fuaga.
Thank you.
Fuaga.
I was like, I'm going to pronounce it horribly.
Fuaga.
Yeah, they've got the Raiders at 13 mocked for him now.
Yeah, Mel
working his way up.
Kiper's had him falling later on in the draft. That could be someone that San Fran might jump up and try and go snag.
Oh, no way. The San Francisco 49ers going out and getting a Polynesian guy?
Go get your votes in on the poll at Danny and Dusty on Twitter.com. By the way, 7 Ducks invited to the Combine. 4 Beavs invited to the Combine. Washington, 13. Only second to Michigan, which Michigan had 18 guys invited to the Combine this year.
Holy.
Out of 321 invites, Michigan has 18. Washington is second with 13.
That's a lot.
That is a lot of guys. That's a lot of guys.
You know what I don't hear in that? Georgia or Alabama.
Oh, they're up there.
No, I know, but it's interesting
They're both up there.
because Georgia has put so many guys in the last 2 years.
Yeah. I'll get those numbers. I was looking at them earlier, but the 18 and 13, I was like, good Lord.
18's insane.
So many guys. And then have you seen, let's talk about this next. Have you seen Michigan fans turning on Jim Harbaugh? It's great.
Wow.
Yeah, it's something. Next on The Fan. Combine, Michigan with 18, Washington 13, Florida State with 12. Texas and Georgia each have 11, Alabama, Penn State with 10, Ohio State, Notre Dame, USC, Missouri have 8, Oregon with 7. Those are the leaders. But Michigan fans, I've been noticing they have been getting more and more bristly with old Jim Harbaugh.
Which, can I just say, what the hell?
Yeah, brings you a national title.
Brings you back to relevance.
And he hands the program off to Sharon Moore.
To a guy he believes in.
And a guy he chose.
Yeah.
But the message boards are all hot and bothered over the fact that he took the strength coach, took Jesse Minter as the defensive coordinator with him to the Chargers. And apparently that's a bridge too far. Jay Harbaugh left and he's in Seattle now as a special teams coordinator. And now you're sitting there and going, I can't. He took Mike Elston, defensive line coach, Ben Herbert, strength coach, defensive analyst Doug Malloy, Dylan Rooney, his edges assistant coach. Mm-hmm. And now they're just saying, no, guess what? I'm here to tell you, 18 guys at the combine. Mm-hmm. Michigan is going to take a massive step back, even if Jim Harbaugh stayed there this year.
And here's the thing. He left you in better position than the old ball coach down in Alabama left them in.
Isn't that the truth?
So shut up.
Yeah, but
you don't have a national title to show for it this year.
They're coming at him and saying, some Michigan man you are rating the staff. It's like, well, yeah, he's had really good coaches around him. He's taking them with him to the NFL.
Guess who brought him to Michigan? Him. Guess who's taking him away? Him. And it's not like he left you with some, I don't know, figured out coach.
Left you with the national championship. That should be enough to be like, all right, yeah, we're good.
He didn't Chip Kelly you. He didn't leave you, figured out.
Yeah.
Late in the process.
Like the first consensus title since what was that, 1948? Mm-hmm. And they're like, Harbaugh, how could you do this to us?
God.
I think that's one of the weirder things to come out of this is Michigan fans getting bristly with Harbaugh.
Thanks, coach. Thanks, coach. That's the proper answer here.
Yeah, there's this guy. I'll read this one to you because it was good. And Harbaugh repays him by Sharon Moore. It says Sharon Moore cried on national TV for Jim Harbaugh, and he was like named a head coach. He goes, and Harbaugh repays him by gutting his coaching staff, knowing that it's going to cost the team players. Hell of a way to set the guy that you campaigned for up for success. I appreciate what Harbaugh did for the program, but I'm also a bit disgusted by what he's doing.
Shut up.
This is not going to go well for Michigan moving forward.
Absolutely insane. You know what? Now I hope you get doormatted for a decade.
Damn.
God.
Harsh. All right. Basketball season started yesterday. When you enter a conversation with Hakeem Olajuwon and the Admiral David Robinson, that's not bad. That's how we start out number 2 on The Fan. City. Nice little February day going on here.
It was very cold this morning. I know. I left the house in shorts.
Well,
My temperature in my car said 37.
ain't that an issue for you? Guess who feels bad? Not this guy.
I was going to the gym.
Not this guy.
Going to the gym.
Not this guy. Hey, we got the inaugural Fan Winter Golf Classic coming up at X Golf Tualatin and X Golf Vancouver 2 weeks from today.
From today even.
February 27th, 4 p.m. round at X Golf Tualatin, sold out. Noon round is filling up fast at X Golf Vancouver. You can choose from, now just one round. You can choose from either noon or 4 p.m. round at X Golf Vancouver. You and I will be out there. Isaac and Suk will be out broadcasting live. Winning threesomes will get a free foursome in the 10th annual Fan Golf Classic. Last place, you get free golf lessons because you suck at golf. All golfers.
Can I participate in this?
Being bad at golf?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can set you up with that. All golfers can be playing historic Pebble Beach Golf Course on the state-of-the-art sims. You've got food. Victor Rico's going to be out there. Pearl Catering, Urban Restaurant Group. Let's get it. Go to 1080thefan.com for more information. Sign your threesomes up now at 1080thefan.com. Fan Winter Golf Classic, 2 weeks from today. Out at X Golf Vancouver, X Golf Tualatin. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great time. A grand old time. Basketball season started yesterday. We figured it out. Super Bowl ended.
Is that what happened?
Basketball started. I think that's how it went.
Yeah.
I think for Blazer fans, we're going to go that route.
50 plus games in the season.
We're going to go that route. And last night, what a hell of a way to start this unofficial start of the season. Good Lord, Victor Wembanyama. He had a 27-point, 14 rebound, 10 block triple-double last night.
Yeah, and he did it in 28 minutes.
Holy guacamole.
28 minutes. 28 bleeping minutes. And I don't think we are talking about Victor Wembanyama in the sense that we should.
Well, they're terrible.
Because they're bad and there's no other veterans on this team.
That was their 11th win last night.
Yes.
They're 11-43.
They're only 4 wins behind the Trailblazers.
You can say that out loud. We know that.
Yeah.
It's like...
So, it's going to be interesting to see how the stretch of this season goes. But this is not... I'm going to say it. He's having a season, a first year, one of, if not the best ever.
Well, he's entering like this rarefied air already as a rookie. Because if you think of, there have only been 4 guys who have got recorded a triple-double as a rookie with 10 blocks associated with it. They are Mark Eaton. That's awesome.
7'4" and one of the best shot blockers. Honestly, he might be the best shot blocker of all time. But his career was just so short.
Ralph Sampson,
who again 7'3", if I remember right,
and David Robinson,
7'1", who is the Admiral, who came in as a rookie, but wasn't a air quotes rookie because he served 3 years in the Navy.
He did it 3 times his rookie year, and so now if you look at it, there have only been 6 times ever that it's happened a 10-block triple-double by a rookie. 4 of them have been by San Antonio Spurs.
Not too bad. Turns out generational big man and super helpful.
You mentioned, David Robinson, going and serving in the Navy because he played at Navy. Both Mark Eaton and Ralph Sampson were 4-year college guys too. Victor Wembanyama is what, 19 or 20 years old?
20, yeah.
He's 20 years and 40 days old,
yeah.
Which makes him the youngest to do it.
37 days older than Scoot.
Well, and that's the youngest person ever to have a 10-block triple-double because Shaq was the youngest at 23. Like, truly, he's 20 years old, barely 20 years old.
And he's doing stuff that very few people have ever done.
And that, when you're starting to talk about, Hakeem Olajuwon territory, because the 27 points in the 14 rebounds to go along with that, that's like Olajuwon doing that with 5 assists as well. And this is the thing. Do we see Victor Wembanyama get a quadruple double? Because last night he had 5 assists to go along with all of that. You mentioned it. 28 minutes he played. 27, 14, 10, and 5. Do we see Wembanyama get a quadruple double at some point in his career.
Yes. And I'd argue he may be a guy who gets a quintuple double.
You think he gets the steals too if he plays 48 minutes in a playoff game?
I mean, his ability right now, I was looking at Rudy Gobert's Defensive Player of the Year award a couple years ago. Steals and blocks, stocks combined. Wemby through 42 games had more steals and blocks than Rudy Gobert did in his last Defensive Player of the Year win. Through 42.
This was last week, but the two leaders in steals for rookies were Victor Wembanyama and Toumani Camara.
Toumani, yeah.
Those two each had, and that was when they were both at 51. Mm-hmm. But leading the NBA in steals as a rookie is a 7 foot. How tall is he? 6?
7 foot. Well, technically, he's listed as 7'2", I believe, but he's 7'5".
Good Lord.
He's every bit of 7'5".
He's 7'5" in leading NBA's rookies in steals. That's wild.
The insane thing is when you look at historically the most impactful rookies we've ever seen. In my lifetime, there are two players. LeBron James, Shaquille O'Neal. Particularly when you talk about the physicality of those two guys, you look at the insanity of this, okay? So what makes Wemby so ridiculous is the per 36 numbers, because he's played 48 games so far this year. He's missed 5 games that they've sat him out. 1, he rolled an ankle in, and the rest have been injury management on back-to-backs. One of those was in Portland, so I only got to see him once. Boo. But he, on average, plays 28 minutes a night. They don't play him 30-plus minutes. So he's having this insane production. If you look at his per-game stats, Victor Wembanyama is averaging 20 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.1 steals, 3.2 blocks. So that's 4.3 stocks, okay? Nobody else ever is doing that. Nobody, ever. Already in his per-game stats. You go to his per-36 stats, LeBron James averaged 19 a game. Shaquille O'Neal averaged 22 a game. Wembanyama's 26 a game. You go to rebounds. LeBron only averaged 5 per 36. Shaq.
What a bum.
Okay, Shaq, 13.2.
Guy's never going to make it.
Wemby, 12.7. Assists, 5.4 for LeBron, 1.8 for Shaq, 4 for Wemby. Steals, 1.5 for LeBron, 0.7 for Shaq, 1.5 for Wemby. Blocks, 0.7 for LeBron, 3.4 for Shaq, 4 for Wemby. Wemby in the per 36 categories wins everything except for assists and rebounds. And in assists, he blows Shaq out of the water. And in rebounds, he blows LeBron James out of the water. So you talk about the actual impact. Not only that, the efficiency. He significantly more efficient than LeBron James was. Trails Shaq, but also Wemby can hit threes and free throws.
What are his numbers kind of compared to like Hakeem Olajuwon though? Because that is the one that you sit there and the big who is a scorer, a passer, a rebounder, can block shots. Like Hakeem was able to do everything.
Okay, so I've got Hakeem on here on this list now. Hakeem is 21 points, 12 rebounds. So this is per 36. Wemby beats him out in those. He beats him out in assists. He beats him out in blocks. He beats him out he beats him in everything. In per 36 and in per game.
By how much though? I mean, is it like comparable? Because
yes, rebounds it's 1 per game. Assists it's 2.5. Steals it's 0.3. It's blocks it's 1.5.
Wow.
So and then in per game they're almost identical. Per game, that's 20.6 to 20.4 points per game. Rebounding, it's 11.9 to 10.2. Assists, Wemby has them doubled up. Steals, it's the same. Blocks, it's half a block a game.
How much can he add to his frame though? Because he's 20 years old. You don't want to add it too quickly.
They don't want to add anything other than maybe at most 10 pounds, because what makes him so good is his mobility and his fluidity and the amount. He's already spending the LeBron James $1 million a year on his body.
And he was doing that at 17.
And the thing about him is I watched him warm up and it was insane. The mobility and flex. Guys that big are never this flexible. When he sat down with his feet out straight in front of him, ankles together, like you're gonna sit and reach.
V-sit.
He did that, and I'm not kidding. His ribs were on top of his knees. That's the kind of mobility and flexibility he has in his hips.
I think Marilyn Manson. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's
Isn't that what he tried to do?
no, that's the kind of mobility he has. The flexibility. They don't want to add. And everyone's like, oh, he's going to get bullied around. I've watched guys try to bully him, and you know what he does? He gets knocked back, and then he's 7'5" with an 8 plus standing reach. He still blocks your shot. It doesn't matter. So the whole like, well, he's too skinny. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm just saying over the course of, because his entire career has been managed minutes, games played, all of that. His career has not been subscribed to the American way of AAU, playing all season long, Grego, and
They
wearing
treated his
your body down.
perfectly.
They have always limited how much action he takes. And this is like the one thing that you look at with a guy like that is, all right, can you take the punishment of 82 games for a decade?
And so far, it looks like it's totally fine. He had the one rolled ankle where a ball boy got too close and he stepped on, I think it was a ball boy on the baseline. And that won't ever happen again in San Antonio. I promise you that. Because when it was funny, when they came here, I was standing on the baseline when they were warming up when he came out, and their security and PR staff started like a circle like near us and just started like walking every few minutes, like as he was getting ready to come out, kind of like walking us away, creating this bubble around him. I'm not kidding. Like we all of us, all of the Portland media kind of noticed like this whole thing. Like
They probably listened to the show and were like, there's that Moran guy. He's a serial killer. We've heard it on his radio show.
but in all seriousness, they treat him and protect him to the umpteenth level. It is insane.
Crazy.
But all of that is to say, he's different in this. This is his 20-year-old season. What does this guy look like at 26, 27?
That's with the better team around him too. With the better team around him, some of the numbers might actually go down because he won't be bailing other people out
if
as much.
you look at his field goal attempts and stuff like that per game, he's taking 16, which Shaq took.
I'm not
16.
talking about shooting. I'm talking about on the defensive side of
yeah.
the ball and rebounding and stuff like that,
God.
where it's like he kind of has to do everything. They have Sohan, who is scrappy and will clean up some of that, but the team around him is so bad.
Yeah.
His recovery for those guys is,
And they've moved him to center after
Wild.
playing him at power forward for the first like 25 games of the season, with Zach Collins kind of helping him out. Since they moved him to center, his numbers have skyrocketed. And what it looks like for him kind of going forward. Everybody wants to talk about who's next, who's going to be this. Can somebody like who? Because right now it's a genuine question. Who's LeBron James and who's Steph Curry going to hand off to? Is it Giannis? Is it Jokic? Wemby's the guy, in my opinion. Wemby is the next face of the league, and it's going to be the first international face of the league that they've ever had.
Oui. Okay, we've got some news on the Seattle Seahawks. We haven't got to the big news out of the weekend from Seattle, but there's bigger news that could be looming on Friday. Next on The Fan. had brownies, and I ate a brownie. So I may be on the moon in like 45 minutes, but I don't think so. It was community brownies in there. It was open, but I think that
Like you would put that past us?
No, I don't at all. That's just, so it's just fair warning. Fair warning. If things get squirrely and like
You have some Gangnam Style going on?
if it's a half hour from now and I'm making less sense than normal.
There you go. I was gonna say,
There we go.
ah!
If I'm making less sense than normal, then I ate a brownie in that break room. But hey, let's play some Russian roulette with the old the kitchen food here.
Yeah, I would say that's always the case unless it's
don't know.
packaged.
We'll find out.
But even then, if it's packaged, you might.
Give me a half hour. We'll see.
There were some cookies that were in here that I wondered.
Have you seen there's like a meme that says it's like at a white elephant gift, and it's brownie roulette, where half of the brownies have laxatives, half of the brownies have weed, and they're like, it's gonna hit
Good
you
time or bad time?
It's gonna hit you one way or the other.
Oh no!
Yeah,
I would do that so fast.
I know you would.
I wouldn't.
No.
What if you ate two and it was one of each?
Woo! That would be so bad.
The worst high ever.
Oh man, that'd be terrible. That'd be terrible. Big week for the Seahawks. It was pretty stunning to see last week. Early in the week, you had Ryan Grubb introducing himself to the the Crimson Elephant Club he said, "I am the offensive coordinator."
Yeah, we talked about it.
For your Alabama Crimson Tide. And they were like, "Woo!
Roll Tide!"
By late Friday night, there were pictures of it. There's a bar named Dino's near the VMAC, the practice facility.
Yes.
Up in Seattle. And there were pictures circulating of Mike McDonald, Ryan Grubb,
And a Seahawks fan.
John Schneider, all having beers at this place. And they're like,
That's so awesome.
it is awesome. Just having beers, talking ball, just having beers and talking ball. And by Saturday, Ryan Grubb was the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks.
Interesting. So the man flew back from Alabama to Seattle. Nobody got the tail number on that one, huh?
No, nobody was tracking that one. But they now have their offensive coordinator. Things do look set, and they have a direction, and now you have the 16th overall pick.
And they went very young across the board with that entire staff, which was something we wondered they were going to do.
In a 6-year contract for Mike McDonald, they're going to give him a runway where he's going to be able to go through his peaks and valleys as a young head coach, and that
Learn
leads
some stuff.
everybody to kind of, when you hire Ryan Grubb, when you have a young staff and a new direction moving forward, does this all signal that the Seahawks are going to go quarterback
Michael Penix
in the draft at 16? And will Michael Penix Jr. be there for them to draft? Complicating this is Friday's a big day for the Seahawks. On Friday, they either need to release or fully guarantee $12.7 million for Geno Smith. So you hire your offensive coordinator this weekend.
And you have a week to go, Geno or no?
Geno or no Geno? And that's a big question for the Seahawks because new scheme, Geno did very well.
Yes.
And I think that he does not get enough credit for keeping the Seahawks relevant. Remember, they were supposed to be one of the worst teams in the NFL 2 years ago. And he took them to the playoffs. And
there's a little bit of regression this year with some injuries and just stuff in general.
That happens. But Geno Smith kept them relevant.
Shane Waldron.
The JSN
Chicago.
The JSN clip was bad.
Wasn't that great?
Wasn't great, Bob.
Are we live?
Are we live?
We're live?
Also, shout out the host for saying, nah, we're not live. You can say whatever you want. Yeah.
Say whatever you want. We're recording, though. But you have his contract gets fully guaranteed on Friday, Geno's does. And then if he's on the roster on March 18th, he gets a $9.6 million roster bonus. But if he's released before Friday, you have a $17 million cap hit. If you do the math on that, you're either going to be paying Geno Smith $22 million if you keep him through March 18th. The draft is at the end of April. Or you're going to be signaling we're going to go young at quarterback. What do you do if you're Seattle in this situation right now?
There's two different trees you can go down because staying with Geno probably gives you a better chance to get off to better footing. Even though he's not a great quarterback, he's reliable, and you know what you have in him. Having a known quantity at quarterback is a viable option because it allows you to get your footing, even if he's not your guy going forward. Because if you reset and you go young, there's no guarantee that guy is even as good as Geno Smith. Which, in reality, unless you're a can't-miss guy, I would say that most quarterbacks drafted, the staggering majority of them, are not as good as Geno Smith. Has been the last 2 years.
I think what the Seahawks do on Friday is they do pick up Geno Smith's. They keep him on the roster. They
And
pick up the 12.7.
and go get a young quarterback.
You go and you get, whether it's Penix at 16 or whatever you do, because the cold reality of Michael Penix Jr. is he has had 4 season-ending injuries.
Yep. And that's the reason why his draft stock is anywhere from top 12 to the 3rd round to literally out of the draft.
And if you look at where he didn't get touched. We don't talk about this enough, how good that damn offensive line was.
Best O-line in the country for the award.
They won the damn award. They had one of the best tackles in Fautanu. They have Rosengartner, the rookie of the year. Rosengarten, who also, he's going to the combine.
Indeed.
Your offensive line won the Joe Moore Award for being the best O-line in the nation.
Your offensive line coach is superb.
He was upright, and he had weapons galore.
The ball came out quick.
He wasn't getting touched up all that much. And even this year, we saw he got hurt this year. He was able to play through it. With all of those things taken into consideration, I don't think it's that slam dunk that, hey, they're going to just move on from Geno and roll forward. I think you got to kind of see what you have in Michael Penix if that's going to be the guy you draft at 16. They've got other holes they got to fill too. I mean, they've got some big question marks that they need to fill. And your offensive line, it ain't winning any awards in Seattle.
No,
is it bad?
Good tackles, but
no, they got hurt this year.
They got banged up, and the interior of our offensive line definitely needs some help.
You just got to find some. Maybe it's Drew Lock. You roll with Drew Lock and you say just throw the ball to DK.
Well, I think that there's an opportunity for Seattle to draft one of those positions of need, whether it's an edge guy and go, hopefully the Florida State kid falls to you, or you could go take a run depending on how his doctor stuff works with Latu out of UCLA. And you can take that quarterback in the 2nd round, because I think there's a good chance that Penix and Bo Nix, they're still around later on, because
you can get them in the 2nd or 3rd.
Right. Everyone seems to be beating the J.J. McCarthy drum. Well, J.J. McCarthy and Bo Nix, it's a similar style of play. I would go with Nix. Could that be biased from watching all the Oregon games and not watching every single Michigan game? Yeah, totally. But I do think that there are going to be quality quarterbacks because it's such a deep class. You can get them in the 2nd or 3rd round, and you might not have to spend that big pick right away.
What if the Seahawks went and traded for Justin Fields?
I'd die.
Patriots are rumored to be in that mix now, too.
Patriots and Steelers are the 2 favorites right now.
You move down. You can move down to 3. Well, Steelers are also in on Russell Wilson too, apparently.
Well,
I think you could. No.
Where's the other conversation too with Geno Smith of, because it's such a deep draft class, and because there are going to be multiple quarterbacks that could possibly be on the move. I mean, even Kirk Cousins could be on the move. Maybe you don't pick him up on Friday and you try and sign him back for less later, because there are going to be less and less teams that are willing to take a look at Geno Smith because he doesn't have the name value or the star value of these other players, and you can get him at a discount.
You can get him at a discount, but at the same token,
it's a risk.
You tell the guy, hey, we appreciate everything you've done for us, but we don't want to pay you $12 million when Patrick Mahomes' cap number's $58 million this year.
No, 100%.
You know, it's like you're not winning a Super Bowl with Geno Smith.
No, 100%.
But $12 million is a bargain for a starting quarterback.
For sure.
In the well, $21 million would be his official number, or $22 million would be his official number, because he's got that $9.6 million roster bonus coming his way March 18th. It's a prickly decision that John Schneider needs to make here come Friday.
As it pertains to Fields, within the hour, the Steelers have gone from plus 1,600 to trade for Justin Fields to minus 125.
Well, if you are...
Holy swing.
If you are Pittsburgh, you're either giving up, what, the 20th overall pick?
25th.
25th? Is that where they're drafting?
No. I'm sorry.
25th?
I'm sorry. I got it.
Green
I got it
Bay's at
backwards.
25.
They're saying the second round pick, number 52.
Okay.
That would go to the Bears. Which,
For Chicago?
God, you give me a second round pick or Justin Fields? Okay.
I think that's a good deal for Pittsburgh. I think it's a good deal for Pittsburgh. If you give up a second round pick and you get your starting quarterback for him on a rookie scale deal,
For
even if it's
1
for a
year.
year, but even if it's for a year, you'll take it. Justin Fields is not as broken as you think he is. He's not as great as some people want. Like people think like he could be like the next Patrick. No, he's not that, but he's not garbage. He isn't garbage. His offensive line was trash. They were dog doo-doo this year.
I do not
He
want.
got beat up.
I do not want.
They had one offensive lineman who was worth a damn, and he was a rookie who was a really good run blocker.
Run blocker.
It was subpar pass blocker, and was it Donnell Wright?
Yeah.
He also has
first-round pick?
issues going through his reads.
Look, if he
Who? Fields?
Yes.
Yes.
if he
I
turns
think
into a dude, I'll
but here-
gladly eat crow. I
going
just
through
don't
his
buy it.
going through his reads, one, we don't know his progressions, and two, when you're getting touched up as much as he is, you'd be having troubles keeping your eyes downfield too.
Right, but my issue with it is if you are Justin Fields and you're getting touched up, you should be running more, and that's not what he was doing.
Yeah.
He
And-
was turtling.
What was that? Paralysis by analysis? Was that coaching?
Correct.
Was
Fair.
it? I mean, there's a lot of
Fair.
factors here, and this is the thing about your situation and where you are. It means so damn much to how your career sorts itself out. And if Chicago can't get it right on the offensive line, and that's why I was stunned that they kept Eberflus this year.
Dweeberflus.
Dweeberflus, as you call him. I was shocked because of the fact that you need, if it's Caleb Williams, you need a fresh start and new coach. If you are Eberflus holding on to him, you're not resetting anything. Anything.
And that's the thing with the Bears. They didn't make a clean cut between all of this. I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's all very dumb.
All dumb.
Coming up next is our worst day on the web. It's a good news, bad news situation, but something has been resolved. But first, here's Will with a Sports Center update. arrested. A couple weeks back, the Jackie Robinson statue that sits out in front of the Negro League Museum was cut at the ankles and stolen. It was about a 6.5, 7 foot tall copper statue that was stolen, and originally was thought, well, where it was stolen from, you start drawing lines and it feels like it's pretty hate crimey.
Yeah, and the good news is that what police and this is in Wichita, Kansas.
Indeed.
It's like where League 42. It's like a youth baseball program. They're saying that they have no information saying that no information leads them to believe this is hate motivated, which is good news out of the whole thing. Bad news is that the statue is made mainly out of copper, so it sounds like tweakers did it to try and get the copper out of it.
Well, that would make sense because they rolled up on the position that the statue was in, and it was burnt to hell. Like they tried to melt it down, but
melt the copper down in a trash can in another park.
Yeah, it turns out you can't just, I don't know, throw a statue in a trash can and turn it to smelt.
Was it not under our bridge over here?
No, not over
It
here.
wasn't.
No,
It wasn't that
It
group.
stayed local.
No.
Stayed local
Yeah.
in
It didn't
Kansas.
travel?
Did not travel.
Sisterhood of the Traveling Statue.
That's right. They found it actually just a couple of miles from where they took it, and they're looking for more people. But it sounds like they have the main suspect in custody, and they're looking for 3 others because
They got video.
that is a massive. If this tweaker's like, "No, I did it by myself,"
Well,
like, "No, you didn't, dude."
well, I will say tweaker strength is real. It's a real thing.
Just dragging it right along.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
But while the statue is beyond repair, donations were facilitated right out of the gate, and over $300,000 was donated. The statue is valued at $75,000.
really
which,
cool.
Again, a lot of copper. But beyond that, even the donations that were sent in, Major League Baseball has now stepped in and they are going to cover it.
That is awesome.
So now they get to keep the donations that were sent in, and they get to recover or replace the statue with the good. Well, this is not good news. The original artist is dead. However, the mold for the original piece still exists, so they can recast it.
Good. That's really good.
Will's laughing because of the good news not being somebody.
You started it off with good news.
Good news,
Well,
somebody's
not good,
dead.
Not good news. He's dead. Like in your brain, you're like, he's dead. I should say good news.
Yeah,
Good news is we can get the same statue back.
we can get it back.
What if
Well,
you made a bunch of them?
I wonder if for $300,000, this little league can get better uniforms than Major League Baseball. Have you seen the new baseball MLB
The
uniforms?
one that it's leading the way is unfortunately my Cardinals.
Nike and
Fanatics.
Fanatics. Well, they're putting out. I saw a big
The Nike Vapor jersey, which is
It's not. It looks.
it's tacky,
Cheesy.
cheesy, crappy. It looks like something you order off Temu.
The replica jerseys and somebody did like a mashup of like they used George Kirby's of the authentic and the replica, and then what the replicas from last year look like, because we have levels of jerseys that you can buy.
There's like the actual game worn style, which are very expensive. They're very nice, can stitch kind of a deal.
Well, what they ended up doing was jacking up the prices on the replicas, and they're basically just pressed on numbers, and it's not layered. It just looks like cheaply done, and they jacked up the prices on them too.
Yeah.
So the Little League hopefully can get better uniforms than that.
Yeah, and on the Cardinals side, because they've had one of the original jersey designs, the Cardinals name stitching was stitched into individual letters that were cross stitched
On the authentic ones?
Yes, and on the inside of the letters, like it wasn't just glued
So it looked
on
like
or
3D.
yeah. Well, the C, the A, like it was cross stitched inside the letters. It made it rise above.
Yeah.
Now
Actually, sounds pretty cool.
now they are cross stitched, but they're patches that are just put on.
Oh,
So it looks tacky as hell. They just released them earlier from Cardinals camp, and they look awful. And the Dodgers, they released theirs, or the media got a hold of theirs. The Dodger white is not Dodger white anymore.
Off-white?
It's bad.
Oh no.
Look, I am a swoosh bag through and through. I am wearing literal head to toe Nike
Well,
right now.
they've done a great job with the NBA. They've done a fantastic job with the NFL. They have botched Major League Baseball.
No, I'd say they screwed up the NBA ones too. The city adjustments suck. And not only that, they've changed the fundamental, like the home colors for the Lakers. The Lakers aren't gold anymore. They're highlighter yellow.
I have heard that with the city editions, though, that was more the league wanting new ones every 2 years, right? And so there's only so many designs you can do. What they should do is, if you have a city edition, you should not change the Vice City
Never.
Miami Heat ones. Like, I know you hate Miami.
No, those jerseys are absolute bangers.
They are awesome.
The original Vice City jersey is it might be the best city jersey that exists.
But you can't redo it like the Heat Culture ones they have this year are just
atrocious.
bad. We had
The Blazers Rip City ones with a little bit of plaid this year. I thought they were really good.
those are good, but the Oregon Trail ones, the topography map,
The brown ones, yeah,
that was not.
And when you hear the actual story behind those, you're like, "Ugh, not great, Bob." The Lakers pyramid text is a disaster.
Yeah, they've
botched, particularly the Lakers jerseys in general. Most of them have not been good.
yeah, but their gear they've done a good job with the gear for the NBA, I think is
Oh yeah, no, for absolute certain.
I hate
better,
this.
but
I hate this. Bad luck for Nike. Bad luck. And
Fanatics especially.
Nike putting the swoosh on baseball jerseys on the chest is awful. Put it on the sleeve. Put it on the sleeve.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. What are we doing? We're out thinking the room.
Baseball's not supposed to be like that. So yeah, statue recovered. Not good, but they can get a new one. They got all the money. MLB's taken care of. That kind of wraps that up.
And they need better uniforms.
And they need better uniforms.
Hey, 2 for 1 there.
There you go, like that. All right, coming up, a little bit of an announcement, and maybe we can get some of your help as listeners to help send a bunch of underprivileged and folks that wouldn't otherwise be able to attend a Blazers game. Come up here.
Yeah, if you have a soul, listen next.
Yes, Danny and Dusty, 10 fan. part of Blazers Edge for a very long time, over a decade now. One of the coolest things that we've done there over the years, and shout out Dave Deckard for always organizing this, is Blazers Edge Night. And that is coming up here very quickly as the Blazers take on the Atlanta Hawks coming up. And the Blazers Edge right now needs 450 tickets more to accommodate all of the requests. They have to turn people away every year. For those that don't know, Blazers Edge, through donations, has a night every year where they send 1,000, 1,100, 1,200, 1,300 people to Blazers games. These are all underprivileged individuals who otherwise would not have a chance to go to a basketball game. These are those kids that get to go once in their life. And it is tear-jerking happy level of fun to see these kids. I've been at these games, I want to say probably a half dozen times where I've had a chance to go up in the crowd and watching people go up to Dave and thank him. All of the group coordinators and all the youth groups and youth opportunities and outreach communities and everything that go on and do this is absolutely, it just rips your heart out. So if you have the opportunity, they need 450 more tickets. They range in price from $12 to $23. You can buy one, you can buy all of them. Whatever you want to do. If you can help, please do. You can go to my Twitter account. You can go to the 1080 Twitter account. You can go to the Danny and Dusty Twitter account. You can go to Dusty's Twitter account. All of them have my tweet been retweeted onto there. There's a link at the bottom of that account that you can go to. You can go to blazersedge.com, and right there on the homepage will be Blazers Edge Night. You can go right there and click on the link, and it'll take you directly to a Trailblazers site that has everything locked in, and you can purchase however many tickets. If you can afford to buy one, please do. If you can afford to buy 10, please do. This is how it always goes. As we get closer to it, there's a lot of people, and there's never been a year that we've been able to not set up to do what we wanted to do. So please, if you have the opportunity, go to Twitter, go to blazersedge.com, either one, click the link either in the article or on the bottom of my tweet, and you can go there and help facilitate that now.
If you're wondering how fast you can do it, I just bought a couple of tickets right now.
It's very quick. It's very easy. It's very simple.
It is very, very simple to do.
So
actually, I lied. I'm not quite done yet. I just need to type in the city that I live in, and I'm done. Done.
Ding.
Look at that. Easy as can be.
Appreciate you,
Just
buddy.
did it right there. Have a heart.
Yeah, it's a very, very simple thing. It's a very, very cool thing.
And I think one thing that we do is, if you have the opportunity to go to games, then like we always get lost in like, hey, I can go to a game whenever I want. There's a lot of kids in the area that don't have that option and don't get to go to games. I think that's a really cool part about this, and I love this every single year.
And you can hear them when they are in there that night.
Yeah.
It is, you can hear this overwhelming just roar from children during the game.
That's
and
cool.
it's I told you before, one of my favorite things every night to every game I go to is I will stand at the entrance where the team comes out for their warm-ups, because I'll talk to guys as they come out on the floor. And as they're getting ready to go back into the locker room before the game, is you have all the kids lined up on the rails. And I'll just watch the guys sign autographs. And you can see kids who are there for their first time. And it is the way they light up, the way that they like, this is the thing that you remember for the rest of your life. I, without naming her, I had a friend from middle school who was a giant Indiana Pacers fan, but she was a Blazers fan too. And for multiple years, she kept going because the Pacers only come to town once. She kept going and buying tickets on the visitor sideline tunnel to meet Reggie Miller. Eventually, he remembered her over the course of a couple different times, and he gave her his headband, his jersey, and his finger sleeves.
Oh, that's cool.
She's 41 years old, and she still talks about it. Okay? So if you have the opportunities to kind of go do this, this is the thing. It's a very look. I know the way the economy is right now, and you can't afford it. It's okay. Don't feel guilty.
If you're watching on the YouTube as well, I know Eric just asked, "What if you don't have Twitter?" I just put the link in the YouTube chat as well.
Perfect.
On where you can go and buy tickets. So go to youtube.com/1080am the fan, and that link is right there as well. You can go ahead and buy tickets for this. It's a really cool event. It's awesome that Blazers Edge does it every year, and the Blazers are such a big partner in it, in helping get kids to the game. So anything you can do, it's awesome.
All right, we will be back in hour number 3 where we will reset ESPN and the television networks are set to have a new college football playoff deal, but there's somebody holding it up. Who could it be? Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan. it were in the NFL. However, we've got the Combine coming up, and we've got the changing landscape as it appears in college football playoff, because while the end of the Pac-12 is imminent following, everything as basketball wraps up, and that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. That's all she wrote. There is a new TV deal that is slated to come in for the college football playoff that will work as a bit of a bridge for 2 years before going into the full new TV deal as the college football playoff makes its change to the expanded field.
Well, yes. In the announced TV deal today, the reported TV deal is 6 years, $7.8 billion.
$1.3 billion per year.
Now,
which is a doubling essentially of the year-over-year money.
It's more than doubling, because $1.3 billion, the current payout's about $608 million per year. And they're going to run with that. And look, they need unanimous approval for anything to happen before 2025. In this deal, the 6 years and $7.8 billion will go from 2025 through the 2031-32 season. So the first run of the college football playoff has 12 teams as we know it will be then. The reason why there is a hang up to officially announcing all of this is the Pac-12. It's quite literally the Pac-12, and it's Kirk Schultz is on now a board member. He's the president of Washington State. He's now a board member for the college football playoff. And they were ready to move forward because they don't know how the 12-team playoff starting this year, whether we like it or not. But it may run for 2 seasons under a different model than it will in the 2026 when it essentially
kind
starts.
of splitting the difference with as far as the payouts are concerned and whether or not the on-site locations will get bigger percentages based on location.
Well, it's all based on the split of how many teams, because what we have now is they agreed when they agreed to the expansion of the 12-team playoff to a 6-6 split, 6 highest-ranked conference champions and 6 at-large bids. That's when the Pac-12 existed. What you have now is you have Kirk Schultz is saying he wants a spot for the Pac-12 at the table in all of this.
Which I don't know how much leverage he has to play with here.
You only have 2 teams. And everybody else is going, dude, you don't even have a conference.
Yeah.
But when it's mandated that you have to have unanimous approval of it, of course, this isn't Kirk Schultz's fault. It would be anybody representing Oregon State or Washington State or the Pac-12 they would do the same thing.
Because this is the only bullet you have in your gun.
And so they're going to hold off for as long as they can, and we're going to see 2 years of 6-6 in all likelihood until this deal runs its course. Then they can kick them off the island like it's Survivor,
because that's when
vote them off.
The new
and you won't
will come in.
You won't need unanimous approval once this TV deal is over. They voted to expand the playoff prior to the current deal expiring. At that point, when the current deal does expire, if the Pac-12 doesn't exist, they're going to be gone. And this is why it's smart for Washington State and Oregon State is saying, all right, well, if we can piece together a conference and we can hold it together in 2 years, then it's something that we feel is worth fighting for. But as it stands right now, everybody's just going, oh God, we're gonna go through a 6-6, which means the field is going to be lopsided for the first 2 years. Because think of it, 6 highest ranked conference champions and 6 at-large bids. That's what it's going to be. They want to move it to 5 and 7.
Yeah, whoever gets the Pac-12 bid for 2 years is going to be licking their chops as a free path.
It doesn't, but that's the thing. They're not guaranteed a bid here. Because if you were to look at the way it would have shaken out for this season, if you go to the rankings and you go, all right, the college football playoff final rankings. So that would have been week 15 where they seeded the playoff. You would have had Michigan out of the Big Ten. And then you would have had Texas out of the SEC.
That just still sounds so weird.
Florida State out of the ACC. Then you would have gone, oh boy. Now this Arizona out of the Big 12 would have been in as a conference champion in the final rankings this year. Then you would have had Oregon State in as the 19th ranked team in the country with the way their season ended. Oregon State. and then Liberty would have been the 6 conference champions in. And then you're going 6 at-large bids at that point would have been Washington, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Missouri.
Which, that all sounds right.
Well, that is right, because those are all teams ranked in the top 10. And so this is the problem. If you went 5 and 7, that clears up
One of Liberty, Oregon State.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, absolutely it does, because you would have Michigan out of the Big Ten, Texas out of the SEC, Florida State out of the ACC. The Big 12 representative would have been Arizona, and then you would have had your Oregon State in as the 5 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not going to get Liberty in.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a problem with that?
No.
No, because what you would have had was you would have had Liberty. We saw what happened when they played Oregon.
Yeah.
Liberty would have had to go on the road. On the road, they would have had to go to Washington.
Goodness sakes.
And they would have gotten mopped by Washington. Meanwhile, Oregon State would have gone on the road to Alabama.
And they would have gotten mopped, but hey.
They would have gotten mopped, but that would be fun.
They also would have earned it because of who they played.
And then your 7 at-larges, instead of Liberty getting in, you would have had you had a Penn State would have been the last team in.
Which, if you squint, okay.
But, this is just with how the rankings were. We know how the playoff manipulates the rankings as they see fit. You would have maybe seen Ole Miss in there or Oklahoma in there as opposed to Penn State. They can manipulate it however they want. But this is kind of the fight that the college football playoff's going through right now. Is
they're cleaning this up to finally get it to a 40-team super conference, and that's where we're going. And that's you're seeing the thinning of the herd already.
Well, and we're careening down that path because we also have John Wilner's reporting, San Jose Mercury News, that the Pac-2 is separating from George Kliavkoff finally. They're saying, all right, we're going to move away from him, even though Kliavkoff was dealt a hand that he couldn't play.
Yeah, but we talked about that.
It's not his fault. Dude.
Yeah, literally heading into that Pac-12 media day, a week after USC and UCLA announced they were heading out, we're like, well, let's see what he can do. But this is a sinking ship.
Nothing.
So
we'll see kind of how long Washington State and Oregon State can hold out in this, but
and this is what we talked about really 6 months ago with both these schools was the next 2 years is, before Jonathan Smith left, it was if he can hang on for 2 years, and he saw the writing on the wall and how difficult it was going to be, but for 2 years, that's they're not taking time bomb, but this is their only chance. Over the next 2 years to prove that they're viable enough to stay up basically with what ends up being a super conference.
If you're looking at 6 and 6 here, you're looking at the Mountain West, MAC, Conference USA, American Athletic Conference.
It really only needs to be one of them.
And Sun Belt. 2 of those conferences will be represented in the 12-team playoff.
Yeah, no, we're good.
Every year.
We can take one of those and then take one at large if they have a spicy team.
Yeah.
Well,
and I wonder how they'll go
that's the UCFs of the world when they pop up. You know what I mean?
Well, I'd be interested to see how they handle Notre Dame, if they count Notre Dame as a conference champion as well.
Because of the ACC schedule.
Yeah, and they're an independent, obviously, that hybrid. They play both, and they have a really damn tough schedule.
No, they do. They have a tough schedule every year. So
are they going to be considered the conference champion?
Or at large, yeah.
But there's a hang up. But the good news is, and this is why Pac-12 is fighting, scratching and clawing to keep it at 6 and 6,
because it's their last chance.
It's $1.3 billion getting distributed every year instead of $608 million.
A lot of scratch.
It's a lot of money
every year, and it just keeps going up.
What I found is interesting in all this is in the report from The Athletic, it says that ESPN holds the rights. So for the on-campus games and then the New Year's Six Bowls, quarterfinals and semifinals, they can sell those to Fox or NBC or CBS if they need to. They can sell those chunks off and say, if somebody else wants to come in and buy them from us, we'll go ahead and do that.
Because look, that's a lot of inventory. Those additional on-campus games particularly, like that's if you want to probably try to put them on within the same weekend, and I don't think you can put 12 games on and maximize your windows across just your network, ESPN, ABC.
Well, it would only be 4.
Oh, sorry, 6 games.
It'd be 4.
Oh, that's right, because you get the buys.
Because you have 2 teams that have
that's right, I forgot
buys.
about that.
So you have 4. You only have 4 games. You could do that on ABC and ESPN.
Sure, Saturday,
really
Sunday,
easy.
yeah.
Well, no, you could do it on a Saturday. And just like you do with your New Year's Day games, and just run them all on Saturday. And just have 4 games
I
staggered
guess it
out.
depends on where they are in the country. That's always going to kind of vary.
Oh, it's funny you think they care. They'll put a game on at 7:30 at night and say, all right,
Good luck.
you want $1.3 billion? We're going to put this game on whenever the hell we want. Yeah. But I think the larger point in this, Disney Plus, in being in that, remember they invented cable?
Mm-hmm.
With Fox Sports and
Fox,
Warner Brothers.
ESPN, Warner Brothers all coming together. This is all.
Make no mistake, licensing this out, we could see, just as we're seeing NFL playoff games exclusively streaming, we could
on
see
Peacock.
those on that platform where you can only stream it, and that's the only way you'll be able to get it. Because you know who's going to buy it?
Everyone.
Rabid college football fans will.
So, all right, coming up next, we are just a few days away from the NBA All-Star break, which is the unofficial halfway poll, even though we're like 2/3 of the way into the season. Woo! Which NBA team do you trust the most right now, and which team are you think you'll trust the most come April? Danny and Dusty, 1080 Fan. the most down the final stretch?
Boy, what a loaded question this one is, because the NBA has been really fun this year because of the new faces and new teams at the top. Like last year, you were really high on the Cleveland Cavaliers all throughout the course of the year, and then we saw them
They
kind
got
of
punched in the face in the playoffs.
butter down the end.
Yep.
They're sitting at second in the East right
They're
now.
the hottest team in basketball right now.
They have been outstanding since the calendar turned to 2024.
24-2, I believe.
It's been stunning, and they've made up that ground and taken a one-game lead over the Milwaukee Bucks, who've been sputtering, but finally got their first marquee win in the Doc Rivers era against the Denver Nuggets last night, where they spanked them. But you look at just the top teams in the East and West. You got Cleveland, which is a bit of a surprise. You have the Knicks at a 4 seed in the
and they have a
East.
ton of injuries right now with OG Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson.
And
elbow surgery,
Julius Randle.
separated shoulder, and Mitchell Robinson ankle.
Orlando's been a great story this year, as has Indiana, which we saw in the play-in tournament. Have great success and end up finishing
Getting
second.
there. Yeah.
But you then look at, there's some disappointments too. I mean, Miami, which you are doing your victory laps on, huge disappointment, as have the Philadelphia 76ers by injury luck being
Joel Embiid.
a huge one.
Yes. And the Hawks are ugh.
But then you look at the East, the top two teams, or in the West, the top two teams in the West are the Minnesota Timberwolves and Oklahoma City Thunder.
It's the new era. We're finally starting to see the changing the guard as Steph Curry is aging out. Damian Lillard moves to the East. LeBron James is going to be 40 in December. You just kind of look around and you're like, oh, the Suns are old. They're great, but they're old. The Pelicans can't stay healthy. The Nuggets are hanging on by a thread when it comes to injuries, and Jamal Murray left last night's game against the Bucks with shin splints. And again, as talented as Jokic is, right now he's the favorite for MVP with Joel Embiid going down. You look at the West, and it's the Clippers.
Giannis has been playing out of his mind.
Giannis has been insane. He's been more efficient. Turns out having Damian Lillard next to you is super helpful for your efficiency.
Who has not been as efficient.
No, and that's the scary thing is if he starts putting it back together, which we usually see down the stretch of the season, that's when he starts playing his best basketball. The Clippers are finally healthy, and look, the James Harden thing, we all kind of laughed at it. He has fit in seamlessly. He has shut up and dribbled, and they have been very good. Kawhi Leonard is a top 3, top 4 MVP candidate right now. He is playing the best basketball maybe of his career at 32 years old, which nobody saw coming because of the health stuff. But you've got the Timberwolves, who the Portland Trailblazers take on tonight and will probably beat the living crap out of the Blazers. And the Thunder, who have last year's number 2 pick, Chet Holmgren, is like the 4th most responsible player on a given night. But SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, is probably number 2 right now in MVP balloting.
And what Minnesota's doing is really incredible.
Turns out it was a good trade.
This thing, you see what they did last night? The numbers behind what they did last night. Last night,
Beat the brakes off the Clippers.
so they've had their last 2 games. They played the Bucks and the Clippers. They beat the Bucks by 24. They beat the Clippers by 21. Okay, this is Opta Stats put this out. There have been 778 instances in an NBA regular season of a team playing consecutive games on the road against teams 15 games or more over 500. The Timberwolves are the only one of those 778 to win by 20 points or more. It's happened 778 times that a team has gone on the road and played 2 teams, 15 games over 500. They beat both of them twice by 20. That's the only time it's ever happened. They're answering at every turn, the Minnesota Timberwolves are. Like, they are impressive. And I love, just a couple of weeks ago, you had their coach just absolutely roasting his team, saying
Chris Finch eviscerated them, calling them, what was it? It was a joke of a game when they chased stats.
Yeah.
And Karl Anthony Towns' career high where they fell apart down the stretch.
he's pushing the right buttons because they've responded in kind to that criticism. But to your question of which teams do I trust the most, like coming down the stretch, the Clippers are a great story, and Harden has been outstanding. I will not believe a James Harden, Russell Westbrook team in the playoffs. And Paul George.
Yeah, you have the 2 biggest playoff choke artists ever,
I will not trust that team.
but you also have one of the most clutch guys ever.
I will not trust that team in
fair.
the playoffs. I mean, I have got a decade's worth of body of work here to tell me Harden and Westbrook will shrivel in that moment. Paul George will call himself playoff P, and they'll fall on their face. and Kawhi Leonard will be, everybody's going to be like, man, I can't believe with as well as Kawhi Leonard played, the Clippers still lost. We will have that conversation. I know it's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, great for the Clippers. Steve Ballmer is a lunatic, and he deserves a parade. It'll be a very sad parade, just like the Rams parade was. It'll be very sad.
But it'll be a parade nonetheless heading into his new building next year.
So I'm not trusting them in the West. I trust the Oklahoma City Thunder, though.
The teams that I trust right now are, number one, the Thunder.
And Dallas, too.
Well, they're terrifying because of Luka. Luka's playoff numbers are unreal. As much as I trust Denver because they have the best player in the world in Jokic right now, Jamal Murray's injury history and their lack of depth is something that I raise my eyebrows at, because they did not make a move at the trade deadline. I thought they would. And you see Jamal Murray come out of the game last night with shin splints, and he's just a guy who he's injured. Just counting him missing games. It is what it is. That's how this goes sometimes with some guys. Just make sure he's good in the playoffs, because he has the largest discrepancy between regular season and playoff points per game in NBA history. He is a bleepity bleep in the playoffs.
He's a mofo.
When it's winning time, there's not many better. It's incredible what he does. But you do have to worry about his health. And so I kind of, we'll see how that looks. The Thunder, as young as they are, and as much as they go against the grain, I think that they're going to end up in the Western Conference Finals, because SGA is probably the second best player in the league right now.
Chet is getting better, and he's getting more comfortable.
And he's the third or fourth most important guy on that team, because Jalen Williams is an all-NBA. All-NBA, not all-star. He is all-NBA caliber. He is incredible. I don't know if you guys watched the Thunder play the Blazers. When Jalen Williams that game went sideways because of the technical fouls. Jalen Williams was a dude down the stretch, hitting mid-range running pull-up after mid-range running pull-up, also known as playoff shots, and that's what he does. You look at his stats, you look at what he's done in his short time in the league, that is his shot. That is a playoff caliber shot. That is half-court offense shooting. And they have so many guys on that team that are stepping into roles. They're going to lose eventually. There's never been a young team that's won it all. They can get to the finals. 2012, we had the Thunder get there. And then they fall apart against the Heat because they're just too young. The Thunder, again, could get there. If they were the West representative, it would not shock me. But whoever they play, they will likely lose to, because nobody young has ever won.
I think the most terrifying part about them, too, is 36 draft picks remain.
They have all the capital to go whatever they one star they want to go get.
They can go and find a player in this offseason that will truly make them a title contender.
The team in the East, though? The team in the East that I still trust the most?
Milwaukee.
Yes.
Me too. How long do you think till Doc's imprint is finally taken? Because I'm going through it and I'm going, but we're seeing it right now. They have one. I mean, it's really one game that we can kind of point to. Last night.
They're starting to. I know it's so dumb. They're turning that corner, and I've talked to people around the team and around the league, and I have been told flat out, Doc is calling out dudes in video sessions. You're not doing X. If you want to win, you will do X. If you don't, fine. I don't care. Go out there and get embarrassed. But you came here to win a title. You all are here to win a title. And if you're not going to do what you need to do to win that,
look, that's really funny too, because that's kind of the thing that Doc was criticized for in LA with the Clippers, was not holding guys to the fire like that. He was always the, hey, if you want to win a title, we've got to do this. But he was not decisive in putting the hammer down on his guys like apparently he is now.
Yeah, I've been told that everyone up and down the roster has been called out. Giannis, Dame, Middleton, Lopez, Beasley, doesn't matter. No one has been immune to call-outs. And a pecking order has been established, and you're going to do X if you want to get Y. And I think you're starting to see it. Now, we'll see how it gets there. I believe in the top-end talent, and the top duo, for me, is Dame and Giannis. Because if they figure it out, and that's the thing, is they have not figured it out yet. If they figure this out, they are unstoppable on the offensive side of the ball. There's nothing you can do with it.
They have the 7th best record in the league this year. And they've been a complete disaster.
And they've been screwing around. That's how good the talent is. For everybody sitting there screaming, what about Boston? What about Boston? I have No faith in Jason Tatum. And it's nothing against him. I think he's a tremendous player. He's dynamic as hell.
You do have a little edge with Tatum.
I just don't
like
trust
Tatum.
him. I don't trust him because he
Tatum.
doesn't get any rim pressure.
I agree. I think they're a regular season team, though. They're built regular season wise. They're gritty. And Missoula does a really good job with them, getting them for 82.
I've never seen a more
playoffs.
talented guy not resonate like he should.
But it's not. I think it's beyond Tatum in that. Like, they didn't have anybody that could dribble last year in the playoffs.
And they went and got Kristaps Porzingis, who can't dribble
or play in the playoffs.
And Drew Holiday, as good as
hurt.
he is not a rim pressure guy. Like, it's just Derek White, not a rim pressure guy. And so you've got all these phenomenal players.
Jaylen Brown can't dribble.
Literally can't dribble with his left hand to create for himself.
It's wild.
So it's very interesting to kind of see where the NBA is right now. What does that look like come April? Whether it's injuries or coming together or figuring some things out. I think it's going to be really interesting. The Warriors have won 5 games in a row. Clay, Dre, and Steph are playing really well. I still think they're not going to figure it out.
What's going on with Utah, though? Like, they pummeled Utah last night. Utah looks like a team that did, like, they were looking for a boost at the deadline, and when it didn't happen, they went
sold off.
Uh-oh.
They sold off, and this is a team that sold off the last couple of years. And there's been some pushback behind the scenes of like, this is kind of like a puppy mill. Like they're just churning out for profit in the sense of assets. And I've seen a lot of balance and back and forth between what the Blazers have done versus what the Jazz have done and kind of the internal feelings between both organizations. And I think both have their merits, but you have to be willing to deal with stuff for both sides of them, which is kind of where I want to go next with this. The Jonathan Givney has put out his wait. The 2024 draft class is not that bad, actually, article. And I want to dive into this because this is going to be what you're, as a Blazers fan, looking forward to over the next couple months, is as we are now a month away, essentially, from March Madness, kind of looking ahead to the NBA draft. That's the thing to look forward to if you're a Blazers fan right now. But first, here's Will with the Sports Center update. While a lot of executives and evaluators and scouts around the league look at the 2024 NBA draft as a quote-unquote bad draft, he's urging folks, it's not that bad.
It's that bad.
No, it is that. The last time we had a draft like this was 2013, in which the only All-Stars...
Anthony Bennett? Was that?
Yeah.
That was the Anthony Bennett draft?
The only All-Stars that come out of that draft were one, an MVP in Giannis Antetokounmpo, who came in the lottery,
He was pretty good.
but also Rudy Gobert at number 27. Outside of that, it is a tough
you
draft.
had
CJ McCollum.
Victor Oladipo.
Yeah, who would have been probably a very, 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 very good player in this generation, if not for endless amounts of knee injuries.
Otto Porter Jr.
Solid pro.
Nerlens Noel.
Solid
injured.
pro, but injuries.
Alex Len and Cody Zeller.
Oof.
Ooh, Ben McLemore. Yikes.
Is Alex Len most known for getting mistaken as Myers Leonard by Charles Barkley?
Yeah.
Is that his
Yeah, that's probably his claim to
key
fame.
achievement?
You got KCP, Trey Burke, CJ McCollum, Michael Carter Williams.
Yeah, that one's a bad
Oh, Steven Adams and Kelly Olynyk.
I mean, Olynyk's a decent one, again, decent role player. Steven Adams, again, role player, but who's been littered with injuries.
Shabazz Muhammad.
Yikes, that one blew up in their face when they found out how much older he actually was.
Giannis.
Was he 2 years older than he was
Dennis
projected?
Schroeder.
Danny Almonte did it.
Yeah.
Tony Snell. Gorgie Jang. Sergei Karasev.
Yeah. How long was he in the NBA?
No idea.
12 games?
Mason Plumlee, Solomon Hill. I remember him from the
Yeah.
Les Schwab Invitational.
There you go.
Tim Hardaway Jr., Reggie Bullock.
Two of the better players in that draft.
Yeah, they really were.
Yeah.
Glenn Rice Jr.
He phased out pretty quick.
Yeah.
It's a tough draft. It's a tough
This
draft.
is really bad.
But you look at this draft, and most of the evaluators that
Except
I've
for
talked
Jans Timma.
Oof,
Star.
tough. But you take a look at this draft, and the Portland Trailblazers right now, they hold the rights to the 5th pick.
There was a first-round pick who never played in the NBA.
It happens.
Levo Jean-Charles.
Hey, the pick and stash, if you really believe in a guy. It's happened more than a few times.
It's really bad, though. That's not a good draft, Bob.
No, but if you go to the Tankathon right now, the wonderful site that will allow you to spin to your heart's content to sim the lottery as many times as you want until your favorite team ends up number 1.
We won.
Hey, we won. They currently have the Portland Trailblazers 5th in lottery odds, which is where they are based on their record. But they also own the Warriors pick, which right now sits 13th after the Warriors have won 5 straight games. I still think the Warriors end up missing the playoffs and it ends up being a lottery pick. I could be wrong. But that's where I ultimately think this is. But the thought process is outside of, or typically in the top 3.
And by the way, at that point, you need Utah or Houston to make a run to bump Golden State out.
Yes, which
There you go.
I think you might see that from Houston.
Maybe? Was that a
Maybe?
question?
Question mark?
You asked that question?
We'll see. But they also could get knocked out of just not being in the play-in. So
Warriors have the 27th toughest schedule remaining. Blazers have the 3rd toughest schedule in the entire NBA.
it is a brutal schedule down the stretch. We highlighted that coming into the season. They have a 7-game, 15-day road trip.
Yeah, 2 against the Celtics, 3 against the Timberwolves. Yeah, 1 more against OKC, 2 against the Clippers, 2 against the Nuggets, and 1 against the Knicks remaining. Goodness.
Yeah, they don't have a whole lot of games left. Yeah, it's tough. It's going to get rough here real quick. But I say all this because this draft, outside of the top 3, I think right now who you've got Alex Sarr, who is a 7'1" kid playing down in Australia right now, a French kid who I think right now is probably number 1 overall pick.
New Zealand Breakers, right?
Cody Williams, who is the little brother of Jalen Williams, we talked about the Oklahoma City Thunder, who plays at Colorado, who they've had a nice little pipeline to the NBA recently. And Zachary Rizachet, who is a 6'10" French kid who has really come on. He played here in the Hoop Summit. Didn't look great early on because it was his first time really in the U.S. It was just kind of a struggle.
When you said Colorado, a good pipeline to the NBA, they are the UCLA of college basketball. Like what UCLA is in college football, that's exactly what Colorado is in basketball, where they will nip good teams every year. They pluck a couple off, turn guys out in into the NBA all the time. But you're like, why aren't they better? Why are you not better?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But
Just like UCLA in football. UCLA's football, they've put out the 2nd most guys in the NFL in Chip Kelly's tenure as their coach.
current NBA players from Colorado, all good players, just solid players. Alec Burks, Spencer Dinwiddie, Jabari Walker with the Trailblazers, and Derek White.
Nice. It's good. See, you should be better with that resume.
Good
there.
portfolio.
Great portfolio.
And if you go to their all-time list, like it gets pretty good for a school that you would imagine, not really being a college powerhouse.
Yeah.
So, including Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups.
Chauncey.
So, but you take a look at this draft, and you've got, if you're the Blazers, you're hoping to God you get top 3 because they're front court players. Alex Sarr, 7'1", defensive player, a lot like Jaren Jackson. Zach Risache, who I look at more as a Danilo Gallinari pre-injury with better defense.
I like Danilo Gallinari with better defense.
Now, is that a franchise changer? No. Is that a thing that the Portland Trailblazers could really use? A creator with size who can knock down shots and isn't played off the court defensively? Yes, very much. And then Cody Williams, the kid from Colorado, who is very much, I've seen a lot of boards who have him number 1. I vacillate back and forth between Sarr and Williams as number 1. I think Risache, I think between Williams and Sarr, you have a little bit more upside. But with Risache, I think his ceiling's a little bit more limited, but I think he's going to be a guy who's very good for a long time.
That all sounds great. I'm still trying to deal with you saying you vacillate between two dudes. That made me feel very uncomfortable.
Well.
Not just, it was just the way you said it.
Well, come draft time,
I don't even know what their names were. Who are they?
I'm looking at a lot of butts come draft time too.
Hey,
Big butts matter.
they do matter.
They do.
They matter tremendously.
If you have a
You have
very
a good frame.
look, if you have a very long back, you're usually not effective in the NBA.
Facts.
Do you measure the back? Do you measure the back? Like in the workouts, they measure hand, arm.
You know what?
Measure back.
They don't measure butt size, which if they did, Kyle Lowry's would be number 1.
Do you think that's important? Like when they're going through there, like
Yes.
I think for guards, it is really important for guards.
Honestly, if for scouts, they look at like Ron Holland, who's with the G League Ignite right now, has a waist that is smaller than I would imagine than most average high schoolers. Like he is very, very, very skinny through the middle. And it's something he's listed as 6'8", he's 6'5.5". It's going to hold him back drastically. But again, you look at kind of where this draft and how it's shaking out, there's so much of it right now is uncertain. And it's going to be interesting because so many teams' boards in great drafts, everybody kind of has the same boards. These boards for the top 20, I bet you there isn't going to be a team with the same board.
Perfect.
Which is going to make this draft very interesting. I think it's going to make it very active as far as trades are concerned and what kind of how teams jostle and move around, particularly as we look at how the new CBA is going to be impactful. So that's your early primer as we get ahead to the NBA draft and the.
It's way too early.
Well, also it's the very, very early. Please don't talk about our players in a good way because too many people are saying negative things about
and
them.
it's only February.
Well, this is when draft season really ramps up because we're 2 weeks away before we're starting to get ready for the NCAA tournament. We got regular season or conference tournament play is starting to eke up around the corner. And once we get that point, that's when the draft stuff really takes off. So, all right, when we come back, we'll put a nice little bow on today's show and hand it off to Isaac and Suk, Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan.
Have you seen the new logo for
I haven't.
Tiger?
I still can't believe he left Nike. I cannot believe Nike fumbled the bag this bad. How?
Well, I think it was what they were paying and how much he's playing now, and the fact they've been not slowly. They've been sprinting away from golf for a while now, but Tiger unveiled Sunday Red, which it's a cool logo. It's like a tiger, like a stick figure of a tiger is the logo.
Okay. Yeah,
But he's got some pretty cool gear that he put out. Like he was wearing the hoodies look awesome. And I like this about golf. Golf is getting more casual wear for on the course, and like they're okay with it. Obviously not on the PGA Tour, but like they're acceptable to wear light hoodies on a golf course now. The logo's pretty badass.
Yeah, the fully done one. It reminds me of the Greg Norman Shark. Same kind of
Little bit, yeah.
Same kind of deal.
Yeah.
But it's good look. He paid the right people to design the logo. Oh,
Yeah. He's gonna have shoes.
the
apparel, he's gonna have it
shoes
all.
already look good.
And you know they're gonna be comfortable.